Hey, welcome to Daily Beard for November 8th, 2019. Okay, so I was trying to figure out what I want to talk about, and I'm finally just going to talk about this one thing that, if you know me, this is not news. If you like, you're friends with mine that have known me for a while, you probably know this already. If you don't know me super well, you'll be surprised as I was about this information. All right, so this takes place back when me and Bethany had been married for just over a year, I guess. We wanted to be Salvation pastors. Now, this isn't talking about training college, it's talking pre-training college. The training college thing is another day. But yeah, we wanted to be pastors, so they said, "Oh, you got to be married to your freaking apply." So we waited the year. When we applied, they said, "Well, there's some concerns, so we'd like to talk to you." So the funny thing is, I had a root canal the morning just before, like literally hours before going into this meeting, and we were meeting a person. I'm not going to use names because I'm just going to be polite like that, but there's a lady who was in charge of getting you into training college for the division, and I'd never met her before. Beth had never met her before, so we're just like, okay, awesome. And so we went and met her, talked for a few minutes with my pastor there, and now you got to understand, like, well, okay, let's just go to it. So she's like, I'm like, what are these concerns? And she's like, okay, at what point in your life were you a Satanist and affiliated with the occult? It probably wasn't exactly the affiliated word, but basically, how long, like, when was I a Satanist? And was I involved in the occult? I think that's what they said. Yeah, they actually asked me that. Now, I was raised in a Christian household. I was being a Christian since I could remember. I don't know what age I gave my life to Jesus, but I did it at a pretty early age. As a teenager, I reaffirmed that by making sure I knew what I believed and saying, yep, Christianity is it's not my parents' religion, it's my religion, it's what I believe. And I never once walked away from the church. Never once. Never, like, went on a sabbatical somewhere that people could go, oh yeah, there was those 8 months where Peter was gone. No, I'd been in this church my whole life. Now, this hadn't been my pastoral life, but this had been my church. I had never walked away from it. And I'd gotten married at it. And, it's like, so, to be asked when I was a Satanist threw me off a little bit, to say the least. I was like, what? And I'm like, I'm sorry, where is this coming from? And they're like, well, there's someone on the board brought it up that you were a Satanist. And I was just like, who's on the board? Or who? At first I said, who said this? And the lady said, I can't tell you that. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. You never can. It's one of those annoying things. Oh, someone said something terrible about you, but I can't say who it was because we don't want to. We want to save their feelings. But so she's like, I can't tell you who's on the board, and so I'm like, sure, tell me who's on the board. Now I'm like angry at this point because I've never been a Satanist, and just picture you being asked this question if you were never a Satanist. Like, I know some of the people who watch these videos. If someone had said, what point in your life were you a Satanist? And you being accused of it, it's not this isn't a vague notion. They think they know. And so they went through the list. And I'm like, nope, don't know that person, don't know that person, don't know that person, don't know that person. And boom. And they mentioned a name I knew. And I was like, that's where that is. And what happened was when me and Beth got together as a couple, we were working at a camp. I, once upon a time, only wore black clothing. Now, I was never what would be considered a mod. I never did anything weird to my hair. I grew my hair out, but I never did anything really weird to it. I never wore eyeliner. Never did it. I wore black clothing because, number one, I didn't get hot. Number two, it made my life so much easier picking what I was going to wear because I suck at color coordination. And three, I thought it looked cool. It was also slimming because I was overweight. These are all the reasons. Nothing to do with Satanism. I worked at this camp. The first year I worked at this camp, I met a lady who I'll call M, who I did not know, but the minute she met me, thought I was a Satanist. I had long hair. I wore black. I had a trench coat. The first time she met me, it was at a event. And she was like, he's a Satanist. I was at a kids camp for the whole summer leading kids to Jesus. And she was convinced I was a Satanist. And so, and she was really good friends with the guy who ran the camp, who was now on the board. Now, I worked at that camp for 2 years. They took me back. She believed this the first year and I found out later there were rumors flying around. People were talking behind my back, telling people, oh yeah, he was a Satanist. Yeah. Yet they had me back the second year when I met my wife. And the rumors still flew around. And I didn't know about it because, of course, you don't tell the 6-foot giant that he's a Satanist. You just talk behind his back. So I was like, whoa, okay. And I was like, at no point in the history of my life have I been a Satanist. I don't like Satan. I hate him. And I was assured by this lady. She's like, oh, that's a weird misunderstanding. And I'm like, yeah, a little bit. And so she's like, okay, I'm going to take this back to the board, and I'm going to put it, you'll never hear from him again. You'll never once hear, like, it's done. And I'm like, I'm going to quash it. And I was like, oh, thank you. I appreciate that, because I'm not a Satanist and never was. And it'd be like you being asked if you were a Satanist and when you were a Satanist and what your affiliation with the cult was and stuff like that. So now we changed Salvation Army churches a couple years later. Because that process didn't work out there. That's a whole nother story. But when we tried to apply the second time, guess what creeped up right away? When I was a Satanist. Now, the guy wasn't even on the board anymore. But that didn't stop the rumor flying around. Christians, man. Like, I love Jesus and I love Christians, but man, we do some stupid things to each other. And we do some messed up things in the name of Jesus. So, yeah. I got accused of being a Satanist. Can you believe that? Like, the people who know me are like, what? Like, but yeah, I got accused. Now, here's the funny ending to this story. As there can be. We went to training college. That's a whole other thing. But the first weekend of training college, I was there. And they gave me crap about the Satanism thing several times. It came up. And there are still people in the Salvation Army to this day that believe I'm a Satanist. Or I was a Satanist. They still do. And I can't change their mind. That's fine. So, first weekend at training college, we did a picnic and we were playing touch football. And this guy was in my session. Nice guy. Getting to know him, saw he had a tattoo in his arm, and I went, oh, what's that? And he was like, oh, yeah, I'm embarrassed of that. And I went, well, what is it? He's like, he goes, I was a priest in the Church of Satan. I just started laughing, because I was like, really? And I'm like, he's like, yeah. He goes, I was once upon a time a really hardcore Satanist. And I said, did they ask you questions about that? I said, do they know? He goes, oh yeah, I told them. I said, and did they ever question you about it? He goes, nope, never came up. Never once did anyone, like, he just put it on a form once, and not once did anyone ever question him about the time he was a priest in the Church of Satan. But there are still people who think I'm a Satanist to this day. This is my extra long vlog for today, people. Thanks for watching. Try and be nice to each other. And don't accuse people of Satanism. You have a good day. Bye. God bless. Not Satan bless. God bless. Because I'm on his team. Sorry. God bless.